Welcome to the MSDW podcast. I'm Jason Gumpert, editor at MS Dynamics World. On this episode, I am talking to Caroline Broms from Flywire to both recap the team's work in the Microsoft ecosystem over the last year and to learn more about their plans for the near future. Flywire entered the Dynamics 365 space with their Invoiced by Flywire AR solution for finance teams to help with billing, collections, reconciliation, and now a growing AI capability layer that we are going to learn a bit more about. The team are also launching Integration Studio, a new solution focused on the integration needs of finance teams in particular. As we discussed on the episode, this solution aims to solve some of the most persistent challenges of ERP implementations. It's common for finance teams to adopt an ERP that works, but is less than ideal from a process perspective. And Caroline tells us that Flywire's roadmap for the Dynamics 365 space will include more new capabilities. The team will be reaching out to the community at Directions North America 2026 and DynamicsCon later in the spring to show off their latest solutions. All right. Well, Caroline, welcome to the podcast. Can you maybe just introduce yourself and a little bit about Flywire as we get started?
Hi, Jason. Thanks so much for having me. I'm Caroline Broms. I'm the Senior Demand Gen Manager for Flywire. Flywire is a publicly traded global payments and AR software solution company, and we have been around for about 12 years now, and we've spent the last couple of years building our brand presence in the Microsoft Dynamics space, and we're super excited to continue working on our relationships and building out our presence there.
It's been an interesting journey. I've gotten to sort of observe it and obviously work with your team a little bit. Can you also just talk a little bit about the Flywire relationship to Invoiced, how Invoiced fits into that picture?
Yeah, so we acquired Invoiced in 2024. And what's really interesting is Invoiced is our software platform. So Flywire is, the infrastructure, it's the global payment network, it's the compliance backbone and how we scale. And so Invoiced is our AR software platform. It's what your finance team actually logs into. It handles the full invoice-to-cash lifecycle. So reoccurring billing, traditional invoicing, automated collections, and then reconciliation. And then more recently, we've been building AI and integration capabilities into our platform that help set us apart from our competitors, but also make us a stronger full cycle invoice to cash platform.
So we've talked a little bit about the timeline there. Can you talk a little bit more about sort of how Flywire has been building its presence with the Microsoft Business Applications channel?
Yes. So I think it's important to provide some context. We didn't just show up into the Dynamics community overnight. This has been something that we've been deliberately building and working to. And I think that the starting point for us was really recognizing that Dynamics customers are dealing with, and we're dealing with the same AR pain points that we solve everywhere. So the pain points being disconnected systems, manual reconciliation, and chasing payments across too many tools. We weren't seeing solutions that were purpose-built for the ecosystem, which is why we've made a decision to invest in this area specifically. And we've really spent, the last year and a half working really closely with you and your team to help build a visible presence in the channel, whether that's with end users and customers or through the partner space. So we've put a lot of focus on building out, how we can support these pain points within the Dynamics community.
As a follow-up to that, maybe I would just ask what you've learned or heard or experienced in doing all that work. And is there anything you can share from either partners or from customers that maybe has been meaningful and help guide you?
I mean, that's a good question. So I think for us, building a brand presence and getting into this space, it's a very tight-knit community. It's a very niche community. So we've had a lot of great feedback about, AR actually being a support. One of the things that we do really well is we have native integrations. We have, a native integration with F&O. We have a native integration with BC, and it streamlines the challenges of the invoicing and actually talking to the ERP system, which I think is one of the biggest, challenges in the ERP space as a whole. People want to They don't want to have a tool that they have to add on and spend the time and the money on. They want something that's already, natively integrated and it doesn't add time or money, right? So we've had a lot of great feedback from people on the way our software just builds into their system. And then within the partner space, it's been exciting. We're still really building out how we approach partnerships. And we've been working a lot with Rick McCutcheon, which has been amazing, and utilizing his relationships and his presence to get our message out to the partners. So we've had some new partnerships unfold, which is super exciting. And we're looking forward to what this looks like for 2026.
Well, let's talk about Integration Studio. It's a new offering from Flywire. What problem does it actually solve for Business Central users? And can you talk a little bit about how it came about?
Sure. So we actually launched Integration Studio in March. And what we were looking at was, what can we provide to our customers that solves the problem that their finance team already knows that they have, but has just accepted that that's the cost of doing business. So we took a step back and we looked at the way that, invoices lived already in Invoiced, right? How the customer data was living in their ERP. And then where does their pipeline live? And how can we, combine those together and create a solution that solves all that for the customer? So that with Integration Studio, that's how we can fix it. So finance teams can connect Invoiced to Business Central, Salesforce, Dynamics CNE, HubSpot, whatever you're using for your invoicing and your pipeline and your ERP. And now all it is it's kind of a drag and drop setup, right? There's pre-built recipes. It's a guided authentication. You don't need IT tickets. It's super straightforward, and it's something that the finance team can now own the integration of. And so instead of it being a lengthy project, it's a simple, we need to add this integration and we turn it on, and then the integration automatically works. So it just makes it a lot less complicated for the finance teams or for the other people that are, working on the team and trying to solve some of the pipeline and invoicing issues.
Yeah, it's such a known challenge generally in in the IT world, bringing these integration capabilities into a solution, but a new approach to it that solves problems as you see it for your customers. You did a recent webinar sort of showing off, demoing Integration Studio. What really landed for the audience?
We did. So Chris Couch, our head of product, led that webinar. And I think the number one thing that works and was important for the audience was that it's a real-time sync moment, right? So every single time it's real-time sync. So when you're in Invoice, there's a point where you can watch the invoice appear in the system. And then you can also watch the moment that it's created in Business Central and then see the payment status flow back automatically. So there's, no batch job running overnight. No one has to log in to export a file and drag it somewhere. And you can see in the chat, right? People can just automatically see that it's live. So with people working in these systems, they are so used to a 12-hour lag or a manual sync that they have to run every morning. And now with this, it's automatically done. So I think that has been a huge breath of fresh air for people and for people to see what this Integration Studio can do for them. It also addresses the pain points. So I think that that's really the feedback we've received since we've done the webinar last month.
That's something that's very new. But as I sort of came to understand as we were planning this, there's even more coming from your team, right? Can you give us any hints on what to look for next?
Yes. So stay tuned. There should be some interesting and exciting announcements coming from our team within the next month. But, I think everybody is working on something that is related to AI and how that can support the community and what can it do to make your life easier and streamline your processes. So our first step to that was Integration Studio, which, like I said, it's about connecting the systems. And for us, that was really the foundation. And so what comes next then is the platform using that data to actually do things. So, thinking about what it would mean if your AR software didn't just hold invoices, but could predict which ones are at risk of going late, drafting the right collections communication automatically matching payments to the right line items and flagging exceptions that, have previously needed human judgment. So that's kind of the direction we've been building toward. And we're investing heavily in making finance teams genuinely more proactive. So allowing them to spend less time reacting to what's already happened and then more time shaping what happens next. And what we're doing is doing it in a way where your team stays in control. So the goal isn't to remove finance professionals from the loop. I know that's, something that people are really concerned about, but instead it's to remove the busy work so that people can actually do their jobs. And I think it's important to note that, several people have talked about this, but AI isn't meant to replace people's jobs. It's meant to make you more efficient. And what we're doing is we're building AI into our product, right? So we're not just talking about AI and we're not just saying, oh, AI can do this for you. It's making sure that it's a key component to what you're delivering to your clients. So stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more I can share soon. And hopefully when we're at Directions in the next couple of weeks, this will be something we can talk more about with our partners.
And that certainly fits into one of the sort of themes that I'm thinking about more generally, which is actually related to integration capabilities, that as those advance and mature, it actually potentially opens up really interesting AI scenarios for teams. Yeah. And I guess the last point you made there, I just wanted to follow up on, which is sort of the perspective or the outlook of finance teams, that as they get more capabilities that really work for them, do you think it sort of changes their expectations about what you at Flywire will be delivering next, that they're perhaps open to continuing to see improvements in the solutions they deploy and maybe expecting more from you and more from kind of their vendors overall?
I think companies should be expecting more from their vendors, period. I think years ago when the digital transformations first started, it was like, oh, what am I going to do? How is this going to work? How long is it going to take? And then once people really went through that process, they realized how much it streamlined business and it made them more effective. And, while it was a timely process and a very costly process, it was something that ultimately improved business, right? And I think it's the same thing with the new AI movement. And what does it mean? And I think there's still the same hesitancy to understand what it means. But I think you want people to have that because you want to continue to build things out that will make people's lives easier and make their businesses easier. So I think at Flywire, we're kind of embracing the unknown and we are working towards something that we know is going to improve, the ultimate invoice-to-cash solution for companies. And the number one thing people want to make sure is done right is being paid, right? So we're excited about it. I think that people should expect to see us really embracing the AI movement, like I said, and also looking towards a lot of deep product changes from Flywire. I think it's something that we really focus on, we invest in, and we're excited for it and excited to talk to people about it. We've got a great implementation and solutions team that come to the shows with us, and they are the people to ask the questions to because they will walk you through everything. So I think that's what people can expect to see from Flywire over the next year, really.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit more about your upcoming event plans in the short term here. You'll be at Directions North America 2026 in a few weeks. What does Flywire's presence look like there, and what are you hoping to get out of it?
Yeah, so I'm really excited to be going to Directions. It's my first Directions, actually, not my first, Dynamics show. So this year we actually have a spot in the ISV lounge, which I think is going to be great. It gives us a dedicated space to actually have conversations, which, we know at these shows, it's important to actually sit down and, talk through what's going on in someone's AR operation. I'm also very excited. I'm going to be joining Monica Hoyer's panel, and we're going to be talking about thought leadership in marketing and use cases around it. And that will be on the Partner Marketing Day on Sunday. And I think all in all, what's great about Directions is that it's not a generic conference audience. It's people that are actual BC practitioners and partners who are deeply involved and, embedded in the product. And that's the conversations that we want to be having at Flywire. So hopefully we'll be able to meet some people in our ISV lounge, and we'd love to chat more about the product and what's upcoming for Flywire.
Yeah, I mean, the other word I'd use there is the people who are deeply invested in Business Central. I mean, these are people who have really committed themselves to it and committed to serving customers in that space. I absolutely agree with you. And you're also going to be at DynamicsCon 2026 in May. Is that a new event for the Flywire team?
So it's not a new event, but we are approaching the way that we look at events differently this year. So making deliberate decisions to show up consistently in the ecosystem, as I've mentioned, and I think everybody knows the Dynamics community is super tight-knit. They want to see the same people showing up. They want to see changes in products and what you can offer. And we really want to continue to build trust in that environment. So by attending Directions, DynamicsCon, Community Summit in October, we're continuing to build out our brand presence there and, make more of a commitment to the community for a long-term approach.
All right. Well, Caroline, it's great to catch up with you here. I look forward to seeing you out in the world soon. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks so much, Jason. See you at the shows.
This has been another episode of the MSCW podcast. My thanks once again to Caroline for joining me. For more information and to request a demo, you can go to flywire.com. And for more information on Integration Studio or to meet with Flywire at one of the upcoming events, you can check the links in our show notes. And that's it for this episode. If you want to get in touch with me, you can send me an email, jason@msdynamicsworld.com. For all of our updates, please do follow us on LinkedIn. Until next time, this is MS Dynamics World, signing off.